Ladies and gentlemen, massive breaking news. My jaw literally dropped to the floor when I heard this. We always knew that the Democrats, well, they installed Joe Biden in 2020. But what we are learning now is much bigger than what we could have ever imagined. The Democrats colluded with China. They also colluded with Canada and European countries to rig 2020. But on top of that, Trump's own government, Bill Barr, Trump's DOJ and FBI and Department of Defense all worked in collusion with the Democrats, China, and Canada to bring in tens of millions of China printed ballots, brought them in through Canada and Governor Trudeau, if you wonder why Trump hates him, is because now Trump knows that Trudeau knew that they were going to rig the election, and he let them use his country as a gateway for these ballots from China into America and then the swing states. Ladies and gentlemen, this is huge. People will go to prison. Just give it time. I'm telling you, just give it some time. Right now, really quickly, smash that thumbs up, subscribe, leave me a comment. Where are you tuning in from today? Roll the clip.
Tell the audience what Kash delivered last night and what the reality is here, because this is about as jaw-dropping as you can get, sir.
Yeah, let's set the stage. Let's remind everybody that in December of 2020, 60 Minutes aired a piece with the head of the Homeland Security Cybersecurity Division saying there were no foreign intrusions in the 2020 election. It was a perfectly clean election, he said. I think it was Chris Krebs was his name. We now know that to have been a false proclamation. First, we know a year later in 21, a bunch of Iranians were indicted in Manhattan on charges that they interfered in the election and hacked it.
So now we just learned that in 2021, Iranian hackers from New York hacked Dominion voting machines and flipped votes, and they have been convicted guilty. And the Biden administration kept that conviction a secret.
Into a state database to obtain voter IDs and use them in a mal-influence operation against the American election. Now we know there was a second country that was more deeply involved in meddling into the election. The FBI in August 2020, so 3.5 months before the votes were cast that put Joe Biden in the presidency, that FBI believed that China had begun a mass operation to produce fake U.S. driver's licenses, move them to the United States, and have Chinese citizens here on our soil, both legally and illegally, go out and get fake mail-in ballots and vote to try to elect Joe Biden. By the way, the FBI intelligence says this Chinese operation from a Chinese intelligence source that the FBI was handling was designed to help Joe Biden beat Donald Trump.
Now listen to this. Listen to this. 3 months before the election, the FBI knew for a fact, this is what Kash Patel has just exposed, knew for a fact that China was printing ballots and making fake driver licenses and IDs, sending it to America to help Joe Biden. They knew it, but they hid it. They let them do it. But then they came out, the same 51 intel agents who lied about Hunter Biden's laptop from hell and said it's Russian disinformation. They knew, they stood there and they lied to the American people. It's Russian disinformation. They want to swing the election towards Trump. They knew that was fake. But at the same time, they also knew that the Chinese are this very moment printing ballots and IDs to help Joe Biden, and they didn't tell you anything. The intelligence agency is an enemy of the American people. An enemy of the American people. There's no ifs, buts, whens, hows, she, we, be, these. They are a disgrace. The Democrat Party is disgusting. And everybody who worked in Trump's FBI and DOJ and knew this was happening and didn't tell him and allowed it to happen, you are the enemy of the United States of America. I'm going to stay on top of the story. Indictments coming soon. God bless.